Hey guys, Josh back again. Happy Little Landscapes. Did a 12 by 16 inch canvas. We only did use 3 colors. We had about 8 tools, and we even hit a little UFO inside the cloud. So if you want to learn how to paint something like this and get your tools out, follow along with me and let's get rocking and rolling just like this. All right, today we've got Prussian Blue, Midnight Black, Titanium White, just a limited palette for this painting on a 12 by 16 inch. So we're going to get started here with our Bob Ross 2-inch brush. So we're just going to go with our blue, a little bit on the corner, and up into our sky here. This. Just back and forth, crisscross, like we always do. Start at the top this time. A bit of black in there. Cover up our top of our canvas so we can wash it down. The sides, always finish the sides, always. Squeeze it all in. There we go. And just go all the way down to the bottom. Start brushing off that paint. All we're doing is just kind of dropping the color on right now, not really blending it out. Don't want to have this one too dark, so we're going to stop about here. These out down around the bottom. Just cover the whole thing. A little bit more blue up here in the corners. Just kind of back and forth, just cover the corners like that. Come down the side, come down this side. There we go, just straight back and forth, take all those brush strokes out. And we'll be good to go. We're not going to be changing colors too much, so we won't need to wash our brush that often. Make it nice and soft in there. Just like that. Alright, we're going to take the, let's see. We're going to go with a brand new size 10 fan brush today. This one's an Artist Loft, got it from Michael's. Just a lot like that. Not looking too bright. And why don't we go in and we'll do a little bit of our blue, a little bit of our black, just kind of mix them up on the brush. Come up and drop a shadow of this cloud in first. We can make it look something similar to this. And you just want to blend it. You don't want to blend it all the way out, but you want to get rid of these hard, straight lines that we have in there. Just like that. Maybe another one back here. Kind of straight off. You never know with your clouds. You may end up covering a lot of them with your mountain. You could do a lot of different things. Now we have our 1-inch brush. We're just making our little patented circles, right? Gonna blend it out that way. The more you keep blending, the more it's gonna eventually disappear. So don't blend it all the way out. Take that same brush. Take our white. I think we put a bit too much white on the palette today, but that's all right. Come on, maybe we'll drop a real far off cloud back there. And again, we're not mixing it, we're just kind of disturbing the paint, right? The more you mix, the more it's going to disappear. So you just want to disturb what it looks like. Up here, just on the edges of the tops here, of our own shadows. Come over this side. The more you mix the white with this dark blue, the more it's going to, the lighter it's going to get. So if you want it really bright, leave it really heavy on top there. So we'll come back in and just very lightly, very so lightly, just going to highlight the tops of these clouds here. And again, all we're doing is just kind of disturbing it. We're not going to, it's not making it, flat. We're not blending it all the way out. We're just kind of disturbing it so it's still a little bit thick on our canvas here. bit of texture. Get in between. And you can sit and play with your clouds for hours. Never know what you want it to look like, but you want to leave. You want to leave some light areas, you want to leave some dark areas. And that way you get this kind of dramatic looking sky without having to paint too much. You know what I mean? You don't have to take so much time doing your clouds. That's looking actually pretty good. What's it look like in the camera? Hello, hello. You drop a bit of that dark in up underneath our cloud back there. Come in, just disturb it. That's all you gotta do. Get your 2-inch brush that you used before, swipe up to the side. And all it's really doing is just kind of flattening that paint down. If you ever get hairs in your canvas, just come along the side like this, flip them right out onto a paper towel. But I like the way that looks there. I want to have a little bit darker over here. But again, we're just literally making a mess. You don't have to, it doesn't have to look like a certain thing. It doesn't have to have, rounded edges. We're just making a mess on the canvas and seeing where we go from there. It's not hard to do with these little dark colors. Just gonna blend them out. That way we've got, since we only have 3 colors here, we've got black and blue and white all throughout the thing. Come across with your 1-inch brush if you want to. Then take a little bit more. You can even do it with your palette knife. Because all we're doing is just dropping a little bit of paint on the canvas and then coming back, just disturbing it, right? We're not mixing it all the way. We're not going to have the same color all throughout it. You want these differences in color. Too thick, you don't want to get rid of all your black. Again, swipe up to the side. You can have your clouds nice and thick and textured, sticking off the canvas. You can have them really soft and off in the distance. Totally up to you. So we'll come back and mix up our mountain color. Right, a little bit of black, a little bit of blue. Pretty much all we have. A little bit of white from over here. Why don't we do a couple mountain ranges? We'll do like 2 of them today. We'll have one kind of far off in the distance and one a little bit closer up. Alright, so the one far off in the distance is going to want to be lighter colored, a bit more gray, and the one in the front is going to be a little bit darker. That just shows that that one's further away, this one's closer up. Okay, so when we come up here, we'll just make a decision on where this sucker lives. Who knows, maybe we'll come all the way up in here. Scraping away all that thick paint, and then you can use it again a little bit later. You just decide where you want, where you want your peaks to be. It doesn't have to, look like mine. Just kind of not. You want to have these little imperfections and bumps and humps all throughout it. That way it kind of stands out with a little bit of this dark color paint because it's almost too close to what we have in here. But you don't want them to be, triangles throughout the whole thing. You want to have little imperfections and rounded areas and flatter areas. Take our brush here, just pull it straight out. That way we've got a couple dark clouds, a little bit of light coming through, a little bit of the blue sky all throughout the painting. Just going to blend our mountain down like that. Just take it, pull it out to the side. And all we're worried about is the top edge of the painting. That top edge of our mountain right here. Right, you can always go back in and fix it when you put your highlights on. Just mix it up, and then down here, just kind of make our circles, make it nice and soft, right? That, nice and soft. we're going to make our little highlight color with our blue and white for our shadows. Alright, on this mountain, maybe let's go, this whole side's going to be shadows. Put all these over here. See how we didn't over mix it? So you have these little bits of white and blue in there. Put a little bit down in here. Over here. Just by pulling down. That's all you need to do. Just kind of touching it, pulling it down. You want to hold your brush at a 90-degree angle if your canvas is a 90 degree. If your canvas is tilted back, you want to kind of match that angle with your brush. That way it'll help it break a lot easier. Come in with our white. Got that chunk of white in there. It starts to dry out, you get those chunks. Come in here. Just kind of pull down the same angle when you get these snow-capped bits of your white mountain. The thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overdo it. The more you touch and pull, the more you're going to kind of smush all those little cool breaks that it does on its own. Alright, come up here. Just staying on the edges of our shadows. I'm trying to fill it all in. Put a bit and then mountain peak over there. Right into the shadow and just kind of push that guy back. Like that. And a little bit darker color of our mountain. Drop in some little streaks of real deep shadows. Right, come in here with our deep shadows. Not too much. You don't want it to be all black. You want to have some of that blue. Alright, we've only got 3 colors, so we don't want to lose them all. Just kind of shape it until you like the way that it looks. Back, throw some white around here in the bottom so we can make our fog. Okay. We're going to wash our brush real quick. Beat the devil out of that brush. Alright, come in here. You know what we'll do before that? Let's swipe up on our mountains here. What this does is it kind of creates this blurry, foggy look to the very bottom where we're going to have our fog. It's almost like it's hard to see. Okay, we're not going to have the fog on just a straight angle. We're going to mix it up across the whole thing. Right, if it's not white enough, come back, you can add a little bit of white everywhere. And just kind of, again, just like we did our clouds, you don't want to mix it all away, you just kind of want to disturb it. So there's differences. It's not all the same amount of white. You want to have some shadows in your fog. Right. Select our cloud, go up, swipe to the side on our fog over here. Just disturb it until you like the way that it looks, okay? Now we've got this mountain kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. Go back in, and just darken up our mountain a little bit. Add some blue and black. And who knows, maybe there's another bit of a mountain that lives over here. It's down. Got a little bit of fog in between the mountains. And these ones are considerably darker than the ones above. That's why we added the white to it. Right? You don't want to have it the same color. You're not going to be able to see it. Like that. Take our 1-inch brush again. Just kind of lightly pull it down. We're only worried about the top edge of what the mountain looks like, right? Underneath, we can always fix. We can stick something else in there. We pull this side this way. And as you're pulling down, you'll be able to see where these different colors are, and then you can go and kind of copy those with your shadows and highlights. Take this one over here, come down to the side. Just let it mix in. We've got 2 little peaks. Maybe there's a little valley in between them. You decide what it looks like. Come over here. Just blend it in. Right, do our little fog motion again. All that's doing is just kind of mixing those in. So it looks like we've got 2 different little mountain ranges in there. One further off, one a lot closer up. Come back in with our shadows. Let's make these shadows a bit darker. We'll add that gray color to our blue and white. Mix it up. So, remember our light's coming from this way, so we're going to follow that same thing. These shadows are a lot darker than the bright blue ones back there. Wherever you want. You can always go back in and add more. Do some on this side of it. Put it over there. Just literally whatever you want to do. Take our white, pull some more of it out. Just very lightly. Drop it in. Try not to cover all of your little shadowy bits. And you want to have some of those in there. That way it looks like we're casting shadows with our light. You can go back in, put in some more if you want a nice dark or deeper shadows in there. Here. The side of it goes off this way. Totally up to you what you want it to look like. Which part's going to hit the light, which part isn't going to hit the light. Really up to you. Make this little valley in here. It's by swooping. Down this way and swoop the other way. Right, but we're not covering up all the black that's underneath. You don't want to lose all that. The more that you mess with it, the more you're going to lose all these cool little features that we made. And again, we'll come over here and make this one have a little ridge. Come down this way. Stay along the top of our mountains. Just let it break. That's all you gotta do. Let it break on its own. This one comes down over here, blends in with those shadows, and then you can kind of see a little bit of the white gets mixed in with these shadows. You want to have a straight line. Alright, now we got this little ridge that comes down. These ones over here. Make them a little bit brighter. Always come back in with our dark and little darker bits of the shadow where it's really a deep canyon back there, or a deep crevice in the rock. Come in, every one of my dogs bark. Just hear all that. There we go. Now we got these two different mountains, a little bit further away, a little bit closer up. And make our fog. So we'll come down, put a little bit of our white in here again. Just got a really hard straighten it in there. And we'll come back and just disturb it. Make sure we fluff up in the direction that we put our snow down. Like so, all of our shadows. And just come in and we'll make our fog. Right, again, we're not going to have the fog at a straight angle. You want it to have different, difference in height all throughout the thing. Otherwise, it'll just look like somebody came in with a razor blade and shoved it, cut it all off. And all this kind of fog, these clouds rolling through our mountains, brighten it up in places if you want, just barely touching. And we'll fluff all that foggy out. Over to the side. Okay, we're going to come in now. What we do, mix up some tree color. Alright, black and blue, a little bit of white. Just going to mix it up. You want it to be darker than your gray down here in the fog, obviously. Otherwise, you're not going to see them. So just keep mixing it until it's this nice one kind of bluish grayish color. Back to our fan brush again. Get it on both sides. And we're going to come in from over here. Again, we're going to leave some of this fog. You don't want to be all the way up into your mountains. You want to be able to see some of the fog back there, right? So it comes down, just gets lower over here, and it just kind of goes away. Again, you want to have it be nice nice sharp tops to your trees. And not all the same length again. You want it to be different. You want it to look different. A little bit at the bottom so we can pull it out. Take over here and just grab and move. These sides I want lower than those other sides. And that way we can start back here, and then the more that we come down, the lower we can get. Right, that way it looks like this is further back, and these are getting closer. Those are just filling these gaps. Don't want to cover everything. You don't want to have too much shining through either. You take your 1-inch brush and swipe up, and that kind of flattens them all down. Shoot, over here on the side. That way if somebody frames or doesn't frame our picture, painting, at least it'll look finished, right? Again, we want to grab and pull, and we're going to come down. You don't want it to be a straight line. This side's a little bit closer. Right, come up, shoot, make it higher. There, come down, come down, come down. And then we'll make some fog in our trees like that. Right, just by pushing against it. That's all we're doing. Back in. Pull them out. Again, you want to be a little bit further over. You go this way, these ones are smaller in height, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as they come this way. Smart puzzle. Pull over. Let's see where we're at here. Take a step back and look at her. Come in just with our straight black, right? Just a little bit of straight black. We're going to stay in that fog. Over here. Just kind of along the edge, the bottom that we want. And that way we'll be able to tell it gets color. And the more that it mixes in down here, the more you're going to, it's going to be harder to see where our snow is. And this time we're coming down at like a 45-degree angle. With these little bits. The more it mixes in, all these colors, this color is starting to look too much like our snow down here. It didn't like that. So we made a little set of trees in the front. Just a different shade in that fog, so it looks like there's a bit of kind of fog going through there. And what we'll do, almost came over a bit too far with this mountain. I'm going to take some of that, just take it off of there. And just going to make some fog. Right, move it around, just like that. Again, make some more tree color, and this time we're not going to add any white to it. I want them to be real dark over here. Alright, normally we do these gigantic trees from almost top to bottom. This time we're just going to do a couple little guys. Right, wiggle on the way down, and then maybe we'll make them look a little bit closer than these trees back here by making them just a little bit taller, but not taller than our mountain. Come in. Just using the corner of the brush, we're just going to start pushing up. And as we go, we're going to rotate back and forth. You want it to be thick. Right? You want it to stick to the canvas as you're pulling it away. That way, our highlights will have something to stick to. Over there. So while we made the fog on that mountain, make a little bit more of this tree color, a little bit more blue, and get a little touch of white for this one. Come in again, same dirty brush. Haven't washed our brushes once this whole time. Well, maybe once. Come in, maybe drop this guy in here. corner of the brush, touching real thick, right? You want it to stick to the canvas. You want it to be textured. You want to see all these little chunky bits that are kind of stuck in with our canvas. Take the bottom of those. Since this side's kind of coming down this way, we'll go down this way. Just have a different angle. Like that. This one's like it's living on top of a little hill. Come down. Like that. This one a little bit. Down. Just gonna put a couple bushes in right at the bottom of these trees. Make it a little foggy. Don't need to come all the way to the side. We just want to know that we have our, our two kind of different hills. Like there's a valley kind of going back in between those. So using the same brush. Again, we're only using 4 tools today. We're going to use the same brush. Go back and get it nice and thick, textured. All right, I'm just going to pop in a couple little bits that live at the bottom of this thing. Just a couple. Nice, thick, scraggly looking bits of thing that can stick out and go any which way you want. Grab those. Just gonna pull them down at that same kind of angle that we're on with this hill. Now we've got these cool little bits that are right down. And while we get paint all over our hands, we can go back in with our palette knife and just scrape in a couple of these little sticks that are popped up out of there. Just a couple. You don't want to have too many. And pull it down that way. Brush stroke out of there. These bits coming in from this angle. Pop another little crazy little bush in here. Right? Just gonna touch it with the side. Just kind of rotate it. I love doing these animations like this. Again, you want it to be thick. You want it to stick to the canvas. And that way we've got something for our highlights to stick to, right? This guy, just kind of pull them out straight sideways. A lot of the times, once we get down this far, I'm going to adjust where my canvas is sitting so I can really get to the bottom. Now you can see we've got this little hill that comes down. This little guy, shoot, you can go off that side too. Doesn't matter. But again, we've been pulling this way because our light is coming this way. So not so much to the right, a bit more of it to the left, maybe a little bit darker down here in the corner. Now we're going to clean our brushes. Alright, so we've cleaned up and we've gone in and grabbed a good chunk of our liquid white. Super runny paint compared to this thick oil paint, right? I'm going to get some of that blue, bring it down here in our white until I like the color, what it looks like. I want it to be real white, and we have a real small fan brush, okay? We're going to come up here, again, same kind of angle, almost sideways, just using the corner of the brush. First one, we throw some dark tree trunks in here. Just get a bit of that black. Just throw a bit of tree trunk in there. And that way it'll stand out just the smallest bit from our highlights, right? Come in here, just touch with the corner, very lightly. Just skip as you go down, okay? Again, rotating the brush back and forth. And that way all of our little branches will be at a different angle. Right? Get down to the bottom, you don't need to worry about it so much. A bit more of our blue down in here. Mix it with the white. Come over on our other tree. Again, same thing, just touching and kind of rotating back and forth. Back and forth. Get down to the bottom, you don't need to touch it too much. Wipe off all the dull blue that we had in there. Mix it with a little titanium white down in here. Just want it thin enough so it will stick. if you go to touch your tree and it doesn't stick and you start pulling black color off onto your white, then your white's not thin enough. Or to the whitish blue. We're going to come back in here and then just on the edges of our little branches, tops, just going to make these little shapes. Right? It doesn't have to be, you want them to look almost messy, but you don't want to cover everything. Cover everything. And there was no point in putting the shadows in. You know what I mean? You're just going to have this one colored thing. We've only got 3 colors, so you got to let them show through. Right, a little bit on here. Again, skipping, just like we do on our tree. Don't want to cover it all. You want to let your shadow shine through. So now we've done it. A little bit of white in there. The more you mix into your brush and the harder you push in, the different places you're going to hit on your brush, which will make a different shape. I'm going to go with our palette knife and just make these, get a little bit of that color. Let's make it nice and pointy. Nice and pointy. Make this one come up above the tree. Above the mountain anyway. Give it a touch. Bam. I've got this nice little painting. Took us, what, a few minutes? Not too much. Not too much time. Got so much leftover white. We can even take down here with our palette knife and just put our snow in, just like we did on the mountains, right? These long these long strokes. Right, but again, you don't want to cover everything. Let it come down. You can put some over here. Again, you don't want to cover everything. If you cover up all that shadow, it's not going to look as cool. So these nice little thick bits of snow down the bottom. And take them almost a little bit too thick for me. Just kind of swipe them just a little, just enough to disturb the paint. This little hill. Take over here. You can keep going. Go for as long as you want to go. Get little bits of grass come up out of here. And just by kind of scraping them in with the small edge of our knife. Back with those. Bam, now we got these cool little bits of grass. You can take your brush, swipe them up a little bit, and now we just have this little bit of imperfection, so it's not a straight line. Don't like straight lines. And the more and more you push this, the softer it becomes, until you can even blend it away if you wanted to. That way you don't kind of know where that little bit ends, where it begins. And we've got this really cool painting. So now I know you guys have been waiting for me to paint a UFO, so we might as well take this opportunity and we'll throw a UFO in there. Because really, why not? Why not do it? Take a couple straights in there with the knife. Alright, now for our UFO, we're going to want to make it sort of light colored, and then we can kind of play with it. Take that, take a bit of white in there, just make it this grayish, bluish color, just like everything else in our sky, right? Everything else across this whole painting. We use the same 3 colors, but nothing in here is the same color, which is what is really cool about painting. I'm going to take our little Filbert brush here, go into our little bluish grayish mixture that we made. It can be a little brighter with the white. Grab some more white over here. Come in here, both sides. Grab our old trusty yardstick over here, and then we can maybe put one kind of back over here. Maybe use this side. Maybe hard to see. So we just want to make this small little kind of an arc shape. Bring it back this way. Start small, because the more you mess with it, the bigger it gets. And you make this one, you try to do something real detailed, and then you make one mistake, and now your UFO has to get big. our black. Just gonna bring it in. We're going to make the shape. You can leave it like this, where you can almost not even see it back there, where you might think it's part of the cloud. You know, you never know what someone's going to look at first when they look at it. Add a little dome on the top of it if you wanted to. And we did it over here in this kind of darker area. Like I said, the more you play with it, the bigger it gets. So start small. Didn't like that, would take a brand new clean Filbert brush. Just kind of wipe it away, since it's the same color as our sky up there. It doesn't have to, you know, even if you didn't like the whole thing. Screw it, I don't like that. Just blend it away. It becomes part of our clouds. The sky kind of changes a little bit, and that's it. You could never even tell that it was there. Go back in. White, kind of fix that cloud that was up there. Do it with a fan brush, with a 1-inch brush, it doesn't matter. And then boom, our UFO is gone again. Okay. Put it somewhere else if you didn't like it over there. Put it up here. Just make it a real flat one. It doesn't have to have a dome. Want it to be, you know, thinner at the edges. However you want yours to look. Leave it just like that if you want to. On the bottom. Color it in, see what it looks like. Top. Switch it up, whatever you want to do. Make it bigger. Just work with the shape until it looks like you want it to look. That's why I always say start small. It's this sucker grow on you. Like a weed. You keep messing with it, keep messing with it. Sooner or later, it's taking up your entire sky. Right? So I'm going to fix the shape of this, and then we're going to add some clouds around it. Fix it until I like the way that it looks almost like a really thin eyeball shape. You know what I mean? Can't have any bumps. It's got to be very smooth. Very smooth to the side. Then we're going to highlight it with some white. Take a little bit of white on our same dirty brush and just kind of put it along the top. Let it kind of drop in wherever it wants to, very lightly. You want to be able to tell there's either some sheen from the sun, you know, our light source is kind of making this different color. Don't want it to be all one color. Just keep working at it until you like the way that it looks. Keep working it. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be on an angle, it can be flying, it can be doing whatever you want. So if it's not straight, don't worry about it, man. We're going to take and cover it up anyway. A little bit more. Well, that side would be darker, this side would be lighter. Since all of our light sources come from this side. And again, we've only got 3 colors. So, work with your 3 colors. Mix this in a little bit more since it's darker on this side. Darker on the, make it darker on the bottom over here. not too bad. And again, with our titanium white on the edge of our brush, and since all of our clouds are kind of going this way, kind of hide them up in here. It's just peeking out. So a little bit of our brush and just kind of wipe them away. I guess we could have done the lights afterwards. That would have made sense. Shadow color in there to make our cloud look a little bit more realistic. There we go. And our UFO is kind of coming out of the clouds. You can take it. Cover part of it if you want. Like he's hiding back in there. We're literally making a mess. That's all we're doing. You're painting Josh, you make a mess. That's it. So, fluff up our clouds. Got some of that liquid white down there. That's why we put the lights on afterwards. Scrape off all our lights. Again, this one's a little bit hard to see because he's behind those clouds, but you can still see there's a bit of the dark ship underneath. And that's what we want to have. Back in with our blue lights. Let's brighten this guy up a little bit. There's one right there. Just by making little tiny circles. That's what I do. Red light flag. And we see it on that light right there. Clouds. This one here. Again, you want to make sure you got enough liquid white on your brush, otherwise it'll start to blend into this bluer color. Half a light on this side too. I like it. Mix that, so that blue again. We've got the lights of our UFO. If you wanted to, you could make a dome on it. You know, you can do whatever you want. But I like mine the way it is right here. It's a little bit different in color. Makes the world go round. All we're doing is just kind of shading it. So some of it's kind of white, some of it's kind of dark. Until you like the way that it looks. All you have to do is like the way that it looks. These lights are just irritating me. Make a band. Mix them all together. Or around the UFO. This is the bit that takes the longest. This little piece to paint is the part that takes the longest amount of time. Again, we've got our clouds in there. Don't want to mess around too much with it. Who knows, maybe this one doesn't have lights. It's got a bit of a brighter side to it. Step back and look at the sucker. All depends on what you want. Just got it around like that, just a little bit, just a very light colored line around the edge makes it look like there's different sections of the ship. Again, you can do whatever you want. Just trying to kind of show you what how to paint them. So our colors there, we want a little bit lighter with these clouds. Well, now we've got this UFO that's kind of hidden back behind our clouds. And people won't notice it straight away, which is what I like the most about it. They look at it a time or two before they figure it out. There's a UFO over there. Kind of hiding in the clouds. Again, like with these clouds, you can sit there and play with them all day. Brighter, thicker, more textured. Just by doing our little circles, going back and forth. Swiping up, swiping down. A little bit of light, a little bit of shadow. Just making these, thick textured clouds. Flatten down with our brush again, side to side, and then you just, you work at it until you like the way that it looks. Work at it until you like it. Now we've got this UFO that's kind of hidden behind the clouds back there. I like it. Take our finer brush with some paint thinner in it. Just a little tree, a little stick coming in. So make sure you have a lot of paint thinner in your brush, or this little stick will never look right. Too thick for what you want it to be. The more paint thinner you have on the brush, the sharper of a line you can make. And now, if no one ever notices the UFO, they don't notice. If they do, then good for them. A little bit wider down here. A little wider. It's just for me. And yours does not have to look exactly the same. Look how you want it to look. In my mind, I love doing really dramatic looking skies. And if you know my paintings, you know I'm going to put my family in there somewhere. Some real far off birds. Way off in the distance. Real small, make the UFO look real big. Alright, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you try this one out. If you've never painted a UFO before and you don't like the way that it looks, you can always blend it out, cover it with clouds, do whatever you want. All we're really looking for is that shape back there. Showed you a couple cool techniques about the mountains you can use, how to highlight your trees, make these little odd shaped bushes, the tools, how much pressure you're using. But again, if you like this, give me a like, thumbs up, share my page, share this post, and we'll see you guys on the next painting.